Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Overruled. Today, we're talking about Susan Monica. Have you guys heard of Susan Monica? This is a crazy story. We actually had to, and by we, I mean Zena and I, obviously, had to split it up into two parts because it's so much and there's so much media about it that I wanted to show you guys so much of this police interrogation that I decided we're splitting it up into two parts. So if you don't like two parts and you want to watch the whole thing at once, watch this starting, I don't know, about a week from today, but 2 hours earlier, and then we'll roll right back into the second part at this time next week at 4:30 Eastern time next week. But Susan Monica, this lady, yeah, I guess she had the surgery, so lady, um, was an interesting person. Interesting. So I thought I had a picture of her pulled up. I did. I did have a picture. Let's bring her up. There she is. We'll bring up the audio visuals. There she is. There's Susan on her farm. She was born as Stephen Buchanan in 1948 in San Francisco, California. She had two siblings, but she tells the story, and who knows what's true. It's so difficult to find anything about this person because she not only did she not have any social media at all, she didn't have even a cell phone. She only had a house phone. She said in the police interrogation that she had a computer at one point but didn't really use it. So she was not online at exact opposite of me. I'm chronically online. So she's exact opposite of me. So it's very hard to find out anything about her early life up until the stuff we're going to talk about happened. So she had a brother and a sister, but her mother gave her sister up for adoption because her sister was born with Down syndrome. Susan was born a male and transitioned to being a female after she was honorably discharged from the Navy after serving in the Vietnam War. Susan, after she got out of the Navy, she started working as an engineer on submarines, which is interesting. I didn't know there was a big submarine market in San Francisco, but apparently there is because she had a job working on submarines. And in 1991, she bought 20 acres of land in Wimer, Oregon. This is where it starts getting weird, guys. We're already getting weird. We just started. We're 4 minutes in, and it's already starting to get weird. She buys 20 acres of land. Let's look at this land a little bit. So it starts about here. It's this square here is 20 acres. Well, it's 19.99 acres, but I did find it on Zillow. And there's photos. It's for sale right now if you want it. It's $399,000 for 20 acres in Oregon. If you want it. We're going to click through the pictures because I find real estate very interesting, especially since other properties in this area are going for like $500,000. So if you want a deal on 20 acres, watch the episode first and see if you still want it. But this is the land. And it's listed on Zillow as 0 bedrooms, 0 bathrooms because she didn't have a house on this land. She just had a giant barn. Look at how beautiful it is there, though. And she made herself a room in the barn, but it didn't have a bathroom. I believe up here, possibly, was where she lived inside of this barn. No running water. There was a well on the land, though. It says in the listing there's a well. She didn't have electricity when she first bought the property, but she did end up getting electricity or got solar panels after a while. I lost my co-host. Maybe she'll come back. Maybe she won't. Let's go back to her picture. So she bought this 20 acres. She started living off the grid, but eventually, like I said, she got electricity, she got solar panels. She was raising chickens and pigs on this land. And in 2013, she decided she's going to build a house. She's going to build it herself. She doesn't want to hire a construction company. She's going to build a house on this land herself. And she starts putting up advertisement for like people who can work on that sort of stuff in like this the city mission shelter place and in different markets, grocery stores and stuff. My co-hosts are back. There's one of them. So she starts putting up advertisements saying, "Hey, if you want to come and live on my property and work for me, I'll pay you, but you can live here for free." And she does that. So in a gentleman in 2014 sees her ad. His name's Robert Haney. Let's get to his picture. There's Robert Haney. He was born in 1957. He dropped out of high school, but he went into construction. So he has the skills to help this woman build her house. And he also has a camper. So he's like, this is perfect. I can park my camper on your 20 acres. I can help you build your house. Like I said, he went into construction. He got married. He had 5 children with his wife, but he ended up getting divorced around 2003. He had a camper and a dog, and after he got divorced, he still had an active relationship with his kids, his 5 kids. He would talk to them all the time. He still sent money like he was supposed to, and still had a relationship. He just decided that he wanted to have this nomad kind of lifestyle and just would move from town to town with his camper and his dog. So on January 1st, 2014, Robert's children realized that none of them had heard from Robert in like 3 months. So they're like, what is going on? I assume there's 5 kids in my family as well. And if I don't talk to my mom for, say, a week, I assume one of my other siblings have talked to my mom. Now, this went on for 3 months. So I am thinking that they all got together on New Year's Day and realized that not only have I not talked to Robert or Dad, no, none of you have either. And they're like, what's going on? So they decide to get together and they're going to go up to this acreage that he was living on and look for themselves. So they all get together in Medford. They drive up there together. And Susan told them that Robert, yeah, he was here, but he quit and he didn't give notice or anything. He just left one day. And I haven't seen him since September. So I don't know what you want me to do for you. He's not here. And they're looking around and they see his dog there. They see his camper there. They see all of his tools there. Not only that, but he was very good about keeping his tools like in order and sorted and organized. And his tools were just like strewn about his trailer, like all over the place. And they're like, this is not how Dad kept his stuff. I don't know what's going on, but something's happening. And he would have never left here without taking that dog with. Like, he loved his dog very much. He wouldn't have gone anywhere without the dog. So they immediately, they hightail it to the police department, report Dad missing. They let the officers know, hey, we haven't talked to our father since September. It's really odd. We usually talk to him every few weeks to a month or so. It's been 3 months since any of us have talked to him. So the cops go up there and they start talking to Susan. And Susan tells the police when they first go and visit. They're like, oh yeah, Robert was here. Robert told me that one of his daughters was raped and he was going to go into town and take care of it. And she's like, I don't know what that means, take care of it, but that's what he said. And he got into a white sedan with some dude that I don't know, and I haven't seen him since. And the cops are like, well, that's an odd story, but we should look into that, right? So they do. First thing they do is start pulling up his like bank records just to see like what's going on with the, like, if he's used his credit card or anything like that. And find out he doesn't have any credit cards. Thank you very much, Quest Fanning, for the super chat. Sorry, we're going to take a break because Quest Fanning has sent $5. And you know what that means? That means my co host gets a milk bone. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for stopping by. I am terrified that when I open this, I have 4 dogs at my house right now. We're dog sitting. They're going to hear this and they're all going to run in here. Let's see if we can sneak Xena. Oh, no, here they come. Okay, Ava's here too. So we're going to give out dog treats from Quest Fanning and from News No Enemy. Thank you very much, News No Enemy. Xena and Ava and, oh, they're all here. They're all here. I have a handful of treats. First of all, Xena, thank you. We have more. Ava, yeah. There's one for you. There's one for this one. And these 4 are from News No Enemy. Ooh, Xena. Ava. This fluffy one. There you go. And that golden right there. Thank you so much. We woke up the pack of dogs. I appreciate it. Okay, if we get any more before we are ready for a break, we're just going to wait till we take a break and do the rest. But I appreciate it, you guys. Thanks so much for supporting the show. All right, what's your name? Teddy? Come over here, Teddy. Okay, everybody lay down. Good dogs. Okay, back to Robert. Okay, so the cops go there and she's like, oh yeah, he went to town and he never came back. So maybe he confronted some dude that, sexually assaulted his daughter and got the bad end of that deal. And maybe something happened to him. So they're like, we're going to look into his bank records. Good place to start, police. These police in this investigation were actually pretty good. I usually have a lot to say about the police. These ones were okay. As far as I know, as far as I could see. And I watched them talk to this woman for, it was like 12 hours or something ridiculous. She stayed at the police station talking to them. We're not watching the whole interrogation, by the way. I picked out little pieces to watch. He didn't have any bank accounts. He did everything in cash. He worked under the table in cash. And he didn't have any credit cards, but he did have something called an Oregon Trail card. And an Oregon Trail card is basically what they put your food stamps onto. And he had one of those. So they start tracking it and they see that it was used in December. So remember, it's January 1st right now, or probably that's when he was reported missing. So it's somewhere in between the 1st and the 10th. Because the 10th is when they talked to Susan at the police station. So they're looking into it. It was used at Walmart in December. So a month before presently while they're looking it up. So they go over to Walmart and they pull the surveillance video from Walmart and they see Susan in there buying stuff with Robert's Oregon Trail card. Well, that's weird. So what they end up doing is they get a warrant to search her property and they arrest her for identity theft. They don't have her for anything big yet, but identity theft. So they get her for identity theft and they bring her into the station. All right, let's get to this first little bit of this interview. So the officers begin going over the warrant with her, and Susan mistakenly believes that if there's any sort of mistake on the warrant, that anything they find from that warrant is null and void. You can't use it anymore. So if a name is misspelled or just any little thing on the warrant, a T is not crossed, an I is not dotted, everything that you find from that warrant goes out the window, which is not true. That's a mistake on her part, but that's what she leads with. Which is weird if you didn't do anything wrong and there's nothing to find on your property. That'd be a weird place to go. So we're going to get into this. And like I said, we're going to go through a lot of this police interrogation, but it we can't go through the whole thing because this is part 1 of 3 and it's 4.5 hours long. So we're gonna. I've cut up some timestamps of different places.
Okay, camera on the wrong day here. Oh shit!
Whoa.
You don't want the sandwich? Not at the moment. All right. And I don't want my pants either. But since I shit in my pants,
let's turn it up
without you being able to.
Can you guys hear that? Okay, let me know in the chat if you can hear that. Okay.
So I'll kind of skip. Is it okay if I skip over some of it just to tell you what it was about? I know what it was about. Just kind of read it back to me. Okay. Well, this is a warrant, and it's just says you're commanded to search the property of 9184 West Evans Creek Road. Yes. To include vehicles registered to or under the control of Susan Monaco. Date of birth 7/8/48, City Road, River, County, Jackson, for evidence of crimes of identity theft and theft, including but not limited to. And do you want me to continue on? Okay. The Oregon Trail card ending in 2870 belonging to Robert Haney. Any Oregon Trail. Get to the part where it says the property. Property. That's where I'm at right now. Okay. No, my property. Oh, yeah. It says right here, you are hereby commanded to search the property of 9184 West Evans Creek Road. Yeah. Well, keep going. Okay. And it says the sales receipts from Walmart. We've already talked about that. His wallet. Skip. Identification, business cards. Skip. And then it talks about the description of your property. Yes. It just describes it. Yes.
It is on double speed right now because I listened to the whole thing. I forgot to set it back. When I'm watching stuff, I don't watch it in real time and I forget I was going to show it to you guys. Tell me, is the volume okay? Because it sounds really quiet in my headphones. I'll rewind it just a smidge. Yeah, it was on 1.5 speeds. My bad, Major Victory.
Well, this is a warrant, and it's just says you're commanded to search the property of 9184 West Evans Creek Road. Yes. To include vehicles registered to or under the control of Susan Monaco. Date of birth 7/8/48, City Road, River, County, Jackson, for evidence of crimes of identity theft and theft, including but not limited to. Do you want me to continue? Keep on. Okay, the Oregon Trail card ending in 2870 belonging to Robert Haney. Any Oregon Trail. Get to the part where it says the property. The property. That's where I'm at right now. Okay. No, my property. Oh, yeah. It says right here, you are hereby commanded to search the property of 9184 West Evans Creek Road. Yeah. Well, keep going. Okay. And it says the sales receipts from Walmart. We've already talked about that. Yeah. His wallet. Skip. Identification, business cards. Skip. And then it talks about the description of your property. Yes. It just describes it. Yes. You want me to just read that? Yes. The property of 9184 West Evans Creek Road is a 19.99 acre flag lot in a moderately wooded rural residential area. And it's designated by Jackson County Planning Department with a tax lot number, and the lot number indicates you as the sole owner since 1999. And there you go. Say that again. The sole owner since 1999. Okay. We're done. That warrant is inaccurate. Okay. And so I figure if it's inaccurate, how do they put it? Any and all information received in a warrant that's not correct is not. Well, you know that I was talking.
So that's it. She's like, it's inaccurate. That's it. I'm done. We're 17 minutes into this police interview, and she's has him read the warrant, and it said that she had bought it by herself, and apparently she didn't. I'm not sure. I didn't look up the records for the sale or whatever. I did look up Zillow. It might have it in there. Well, she bought it in 2000 or 1999 or 2001 or something like that. So the records might not go back that far on Zillow, but imagine being in a police interrogation for a missing person. At this point, he's just missing. Nobody's dead yet. I mean, he is, but we don't know that yet. So, and saying, oh, anything you find on my property is null and void because you made a mistake on the warrant. Sorry, copper.
Talking to you about Robert Haney's Oregon Trail card, right? Yeah. Okay. And we talked about a little bit already about how he had given you permission, you said, to use the Oregon Trail card 3.5 months ago.
something.
Somewhere like that.
Before he disappeared.
Right, and he gave you the PIN number, which you had memorized.
Yes.
And do you remember, I can't remember what you said about the PIN number. Did he just say, here's the PIN number, or did you write it down?
No.
Or it was just memory? Because
memory.
you're good with numbers?
I'm good with numbers.
Okay.
5 minutes from now, I will have totally forgotten you. Yeah. People and actual dates, I mean, let's see.
People you're not good with names. I'm not good with names either.
I'm not good with people or names.
Yeah. So when after you use Robert's,
if you can find out addresses and I mean, I can drive you out here 10 miles away to a house where we went together for him to get his last check from the people that he worked for in
the logging place.
The logging place.
Okay.
And that will give you a date.
Oh, well, that would be helpful.
Okay, and then I can say 3 weeks prior to that is when I met.
Oh, okay, the exact time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he? You said something about him. Was the actual logging place in Cave Junction, or is it just based out of there and he worked around here?
It was. Have you got a map?
I don't have a map, but that's okay. You can.
I can say right there.
Well, is it in Jackson County?
No.
Oh, okay. It's in Josephine County.
Josephine,
somewhere.
yeah. Cave Junction is what city? I mean,
just outside Grants. Yeah, Josephine County.
Josephine County. Okay.
So you guys must have met when he was working over there.
We met prior to that, but like I say, I can't remember where.
About 3 weeks though.
Something. 3 weeks, a month before that is when we met.
And you had said that you had sometimes put up like the wanted, posting up a thing, a little help around here or there. And do you think that was how you guys might have actually met? You might have called you or something, or?
I can't remember.
Oh, it's okay. And so after he moved to your property, of course, you got to know him a little bit better, which you talked about his drinking. And that he, every once in a while, he would flip out because of his drinking, most likely.
Yes.
But other than that, your contact with him was
minimal.
Kind of minimal.
I mean, I wouldn't see him for a week at a time.
Yeah.
Because he was, he would come up in the morning, make some coffee.
Yeah.
And then in the evening, he would come up and make some coffee and watch TV for a while.
Okay.
And the rest of the time, he was down in this little camper thing.
Yeah.
And then he would go ahead and do his scrap metal thing, where he was making a couple dollars.
Yeah.
And that was about it. I didn't have a whole, I just don't do good with people.
Yeah. No, I understand that. So when he, but you're good with numbers. So when he, about how long had he been there? Like, about when he said, hey, here's my Oregon Trail card, my PIN number, can you go grab me some beer and, whatever else?
Couple months.
He'd been there a couple months?
Yeah.
And when he gave you the
Steve Cousins said he's stuck here till he finds out who did it. Let me tell you, the next clip that I have, I've labeled "We Found a Leg," so it gets good. This is just the buildup. This is why they're questioning her, this Oregon Trail card, and why is she using it? If you haven't seen this guy in 3 months, why are you using his food stamps card?
trail card, it was just verbal. You said he didn't write it down or anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay. And so was this a one-time thing where he said go get beer and then, or what? How'd that go down? Like, did he say like go just run to the store really quick and
he said he needed. I said I was going into town.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hypothesizing as to the conversation.
Right.
I saw him. I said, I'm going into town. You want anything? He gave me the card, gave me the PIN number, and I said, get me some beer and coffee. I do remember the beer and coffee thing.
Okay. Beer and coffee, and you said maybe some food. Not sure though. Or?
Well, that was on other dates.
Oh, okay. So that particular time where he said, "Get me some beer and coffee," what store did you go to?
I got the coffee at either Walmart or grocery outlet, and the beer at the Wimer Market.
Okay. Which Walmart?
Well, Walmart and Grants Pass.
Oh, okay. All right. Do you normally go to Grants Pass? It's closer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep in mind, when officers in a situation like this are asking you questions, they already know all the answers. He knows what Walmart she was at. They have these records. That's why she's there. But she doesn't realize this yet. She's thinking she can just tell them anything at this point. But they already know the answers to these questions.
I normally don't go anywhere unless I have to do at least 3 things. That's where I get so pissed off at Brady, because he doesn't have money, and he wants a beer. He drives to the store to get a beer.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have enough sense if he buys, the previous time that he stayed out at my property.
Yeah.
I would take and buy him a case of beer,
mm-hmm.
put it in my refrigerator. I'd give him a beer, and then in the evening I'd give him a beer, and then the next day he'd come in and just take what was left and drink the whole thing.
Try to ration it out a little bit.
He can't. He's 3 years old.
Yeah,
okay,
I hear you.
and I hope you guys haven't messed him up right now.
Well, we're going to talk to everybody, obviously, and we're not doing anything to them, but, we got to talk to everybody, right?
Yeah.
Because, you guys are living out there on the property.
Yeah.
But back to this Oregon Trail thing, I'm just trying to clarify some things for me, okay? That way I can kind of wrap up that whole thing and we can get past that. So with the Oregon Trail, so you said this one time, the first time was about 3.5 months ago when he first, about that? And so it was for beer and coffee. You went to a couple different stores, you said. And then you mentioned that there was another time after that he asked you to get something?
Well, it was a couple of times.
A couple times?
Yeah.
Okay. And so did this whole time, when you would go buy something at the store, did you come back with the stuff and give him his card back? Or did you hold on to the card? Or how'd that work?
I guess the first time I gave him his card back, and then after that he just said keep it.
Because you were going to run errands for
him?
Yeah. Okay.
Because he had more sense than Brady. Instead of, it doesn't make sense, to take 2 vehicles to do one thing.
Mm-hmm. So you can't buy beer with Oregon Trail card. So did you use your own money, or how did that work?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then how did he reimburse you?
Well, he did. Well, he didn't, but he did with, using his card to buy some extra food for me.
Okay. What would you normally ask him to buy you for reimbursement?
Bread and milk. That was it.
Okay.
Occasionally cheese.
Okay.
Other than that, I've got 500 pounds of pork in my freezers.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That'll keep you fed for a long time, huh?
Yes. And for the record, if anybody here would like to buy some pork, I have pork. 80 cents a pound. I'm getting ready to get rid of another pig.
80 cents a pound? That's probably cheap.
Yeah.
Is that cheap?
You can,
Actually, after watching this interview, I looked into buying a whole pig, also a whole cow. It is very expensive nowadays. It is not 80 cents a pound anymore. I'll let you know that.
You can, I'll sell you the pig, 80 cents a pound.
If anybody wants to go in on a pig or a cow with me, let me know.
You can take it and get it wrapped up and split it amongst
there we go.
78 of you or whatever.
Yeah. That's enough poundage to feed all of us, probably. Jeez. How many freezers do you have?
3.
3 freezers. Oh, wow. So when you said that,
if I don't get rid of the next one to somebody else, I'll have to buy a 4th.
Oh, jeez. So on the Oregon Trail cards, though, so there was a couple more transactions after that he said go to the store and get me. And it was that. Why did he have you go instead of him going?
Well, generally it was, I mean, I do the same thing with Brady, but they don't have the common sense to do it in reverse. I say, hey, I'm going to the store. You want anything? And everybody else just takes off and goes, and they don't ask me if I need anything. So
right.
I guess it's weird.
But I mean, was his vehicle broken?
No.
Was he out of gas? Was he?
Well, he didn't. He didn't like to take this truck, and there was something wrong with the motorcycle.
Oh, okay.
He showed me what I believed, what he called the clutch, which was
right. You told me about that. Yeah, and you didn't think there was anything wrong with it.
I didn't think, like I say, parts. I mean, it's this big around. It had a sleeve around it that big around. Mm-hmm. It had 3 pins in it, and I could try the sketch.
You're good with that stuff.
That stuff I'm good at. My address when I was growing up was 9184 Mullins Drive in Richmond, California.
Wow. Sheesh. That's a good memory.
For numbers.
Yeah, right.
For numbers and pictures, for everything, for people.
Yeah.
3-4 months ago, I walked into a masonry supply store over here. And I hadn't been in there for a year and a half, and I walk in the door. Hi, Susan. How you doing? I go to Walmart.
Hi, Twitch person. We don't usually get to Twitch people. That's my co-host Zena. She doesn't do a lot of the work, but she is my co-host. So, welcome. We're talking about Susan Monica today.
People in Walmart, they come up. Hi, Susan. How you doing? How's the house doing?
Yeah.
And I have no idea who I'm talking to. None at all. If like I say, if I meet you and 5 minutes from now, I'll have totally forgotten you, unless you're, in uniform or something, and then I don't even remember which one whatever.
We all look alike.
Yep. I put people in pigeonholes. Mm-hmm. So if you're in uniform and in your car and over here, then I know basically who you are.
Right.
If I see you in Walmart, I have no idea who you are. If I see my next door neighbor, I don't picture people. It's all blurry.
Do you think you'd remember that first transaction using Robert's Oregon Trail card when he was gone, like after he had gotten in the white car and left, and he hadn't returned? You said that he left his dog, gave you $20.
Yeah.
And so some time probably passed before you
at least a couple weeks.
You had to have been thinking, well, he hasn't returned for his dog, and what's going on here? I'm confused.
Well, I was, confused a little bit, but like I say, even when I saw him, it was sporadic.
Sure.
And sometimes I wouldn't see him for a week.
Yeah. But a guy's got to get food to eat, so you'd eventually run out of food, and you've got his Oregon Trail card.
Well, like I say, he wasn't there, so.
Right. But was that concerning to you that here he is, he's gone, he's left you his Oregon Trail card, and you only get one Oregon Trail card, you know what I mean? So, and he doesn't have a job, so how's he going to get food?
I didn't know that. The day or the 2 days before that, the day or 2 days before the time that he gave me the $20, I had the card, but he didn't ask me for the card or anything, and I didn't really think about the card. But where was I going? Now I forget where I was going. But it was a couple of weeks. Oh, that's what it was. When he left, I didn't think he needed. I didn't think about the card. Okay, but you mentioned him needing food. That's where I was going. I figured if he had gone to Ashland and was working, he had money to buy food.
Okay. Yeah. And so when did this working in Ashland thing come up?
Well, I don't know if it was actual working or not.
Okay. And you had mentioned something before about Robert saying that his daughter had been raped.
Yes, he mentioned that several times, mostly when, he got really drunk.
Did he say he was going to go to Ashland to work?
Sort of.
What do you mean by sort of? What did he say?
I can't remember exactly.
Okay. But you remember Ashland coming up.
I remember Ashland, and I remember him planning on going there. Yeah. And the man or woman that was, and there could have been more than one person in the car too. I remember him, after talking to you the last time, I remember him walking down and getting in, because the car was going out, so I remember him getting in the passenger side.
Mm-hmm.
He could have been getting in the back seat or the front seat. Mm-hmm. I don't remember which, because I didn't really see the car. All I saw was a white car that was similar to mine. It was 4 doors. So there might have been more than one person in the car. Mm-hmm. But at that time, he was, I thought, going to Ashland.
Yeah. Okay. Did he have a phone or anything, or?
Yes, okay, so that's her first story, is that she was using his Oregon Trail card because she would buy him beer, and in return for her spending her money, like actual cash, on beer, he would give her his Oregon Trail card to buy groceries, which may have been the case when he was still there. But the officer is like, hey, Susan, after he had been gone for months, why were you still using his Oregon Trail card? And she said, well, I was feeding his dog that, by the way, he would have never left without, according to his children. So I was buying food. I guess, I don't know if you can buy dog food with an Oregon Trail card. I'm guessing not. But she was spending money on feeding his dog and taking care of his dog. So she was still using his Oregon Trail card. And then when it got reloaded every month with $150, she would spend that. And then in January, it didn't work. It didn't get reloaded on the first. So she burned it. She threw it away or burned it. I think she said she threw it away, but it turns out in reality, she burned it with the rest of his stuff. Let's skip to the next. This is where they spring it on her. They're going to let her know what they found on her property. Well, all of this is going on. She's sitting at the police station waiting to be questioned, and they're talking to her for the first hour. The other cops are at her property doing the search warrant that she thinks is no good because they got something wrong on it.
But
Susan, we found a leg by your house. We found a leg right next to your place.
A leg?
By the way, no reaction from her. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Just imagine like, you didn't do anything wrong and this guy just disappeared. And then they tell you in the police room, hey, by the way, we found a human leg next to your house. What's that about? And you just being stone-faced, no reaction, nothing at all. I would be freaking out if that was me. She's got no reaction at all. She's like, a leg? Huh, that's odd. That's weird that you'd find a leg at my house.
But my animals, if he had seen that my animals were going crazy, I'm sure he would either feed the pigs himself or call somebody. But
Susan, we found a leg by your house. We found a leg right next to your place.
A leg?
A human leg next to your place. I think it might be Robert.
Don't know.
Who could it be?
No idea.
You think it might be Robert?
I guess I should ask where it was. If it was down there by his trailer.
No. It was right next to your place. Just a few feet from your place.
I don't know then. If it were down by his trailer, he might have fallen down the hill or something. But if it was up at my place, I don't know.
That's it. Do you think it's kind of strange that there's a leg right next to your place?
Very.
Does it concern you?
Yes.
Do you think it might be Robert?
It could be, but I can't understand why.
She's trying to think now. Wait, who else's leg could it be? How many other people did you kill on your property, Susan? Where you have to think about if it's Robert's leg or not. How many other people, Susan?
If I can't understand how I can't understand how it would get there, because I can't see him having an accident up by my place.
How do you think it got there? What's your best reasoning for how it got there?
Coyote? I have no idea.
What do you think we should do at this point? I mean, are you worried about Robert? Do you think it might be him?
I would definitely get a DNA test to find out if it were.
Do you think if we search the 19.99 acres that we're going to find any other parts of people?
If it's Robert's leg, I guess the rest of him is there somewhere.
So you think a coyote drug it right next to your house?
That would be the only thing that would make any sense to me.
What do you think happened to Robert? What did he do?
I have no idea.
Did he do something to you?
No.
You know, you described your property as this, what I envisioned when you were describing it, a really peaceful place.
Yes.
And you seem like kind of a quiet person who would enjoy being out away from people and not, around where things are loud. I mean, you said yourself you don't even have the radio on in the car, and, you kind of keep to yourself because you're smart, you do well with your money, you like your animals, you like your privacy and the quiet out there. Mm-hmm. That's why you picked the place.
Yes.
Because it's out in the middle of nowhere, really. It's beautiful out there. I think it's beautiful.
Getting there slowly.
So you have this peaceful, tranquil place, and you try to help somebody out, because it sounds like you are a person who likes to help people out.
Yeah.
You're trying to support 4 people right now. You said it yourself.
Well,
you're trying to take care of them. You're trying to be good with using their money and helping them out to be smarter and not just drink a 12-pack and get wasted.
Right.
So you seem like a legitimately good person who's trying to do the right thing. And then along comes Robert, and you try to help him out. But for some reason with Robert, he has these episodes. And I'm not, it's not what you're making up.
Well, I mean, Brady has episodes
Okay,
too.
well, let's focus on Robert, though.
Okay.
Robert had some issues.
Yes.
Everyone knows that.
By the way, throughout this entire day of police interrogation, she tries to change the subject so many times. She just tried to do it. She just tried to change it to some other guy named Brady. And this officer is so good at steering her back on track to get the information that he needs. He's really good. Like I said, I don't have a lot to say Usually I have stuff to say about the cops in these things. Mistakes they made, hindsight, all of that BS. But this guy's good. And also in the room, you can't see him, but the medical examiner's in the room with them right now, just off camera.
It's actually documented in police reports. Okay. He was a guy who could get loud and drunk and cause problems and pretty much ruin that peaceful, tranquil place that you have out there. No. And I'm guessing that's what he did at times.
He did that at times, but he was the only time that I was disturbed by him was when he was making a whole bunch of noise and Karen called me. But he was, 1,000 feet away. Yeah. 800 feet away.
But you went and talked to him, right?
Yeah.
What'd you guys talk about? I mean, you must have certainly, what I would have done is say, hey, you're living here on my property. It's exactly what I said. You're living here on my property. Yeah. I don't need problems with the neighbors. Keep it down or leave. Get out of here.
Well,
what'd you tell him?
Pretty much the same thing, but I didn't say he had to go. I just said be quiet.
Yeah. But it didn't stop with that.
Well, that was the only time that I really heard him.
All right. Well, we know of other times.
Well, I don't.
And then on top of that, you have him where he only gives you $300. Then he gives you the 2 trailers, what, for $200 a piece or something like, or a couple months rent?
Well, $600 a piece.
Okay.
One
a couple months rent.
One was for 2 months rent. The second one was for 2 months rent. And I was under the impression, like I say, he had all that stuff there.
So he paid you for 5 months rent?
Yeah.
And he gave you some food with his Oregon Trail card.
Yeah.
And he did some work on top of that.
Yeah.
And he came to live there sometime around August, is that right?
Like I said, if you want a date, I can take you to the place where he got his paycheck from. And I can, from that respect, you can.
She's still not asking any questions about the human leg they found outside of the pig pen. By the way, it was not in the pig pen. Somebody asked in the chat earlier, why didn't the pigs eat it? It was not. It was next to her house or where she was living. She didn't really have a house. She lived in the barn, kind of. But it was next to, it wasn't in with the pigs. But they bring this up, that there's a human leg that we found on your property, ma'am. And she's just trying to change the subject and brush past that and talking about other stuff and has no questions about it. Zero questions about the human leg that they found at her house.
A timeline. I'm not real good with words here. But from that respect, you can get a timeline as to when he actually showed up and how long he has been there and all that kind of stuff.
What did Robert think about your pigs?
I don't.
Did he ever help feed them?
No.
Did he ever go into their area?
Not that I know of.
Did he ever harass them?
Not that I know.
What did he think of them? I mean, they're noisy at times and kind of smelly sometimes. And
he was,
I mean, he was hanging out with her, so how smelly could the pigs have been? I assume the odor in that room right there probably smells like the pigs that she didn't have running water on her property. So no laundry, anything like that. So I'm pretty sure that Robert wasn't complaining about the smell of the pigs.
He was never around him, I don't think, except when he came up to use that little room. And
it's a good conversation piece, though. I mean, it would certainly be something I would talk about if I was going to move there.
Well, we didn't talk. Like I say, he was there, and you know, the two of us have talked more today than I talked with him in whatever months he was there.
Well, he talked to you enough to loan you his Oregon Trail card, according to you, right? I mean, he must have trusted you.
Well, that was 10 words.
Do you think Robert got into the pig pen and they attacked him?
Well, if you found a leg in the pig pen, I would say that's...
Remember that this officer just brought that up to her. Do you think, this is what he said, do you think that Robert got into the pig pen and they attacked him? Because a couple of hours from now, well, I'm going to skip to it in a little bit, but this is one of the stories that she tells later. But at 11:31 in the morning, this officer brings it up to her. Right now, her story is, I don't know where he is. He got into a white sedan 3 months ago. Haven't seen him since. He left all of his stuff and his dog here. I don't know what happened.
Possible.
Would your pigs eat a person? A pig's an animal. They don't know any better.
Yeah, no. I've heard of pigs eating people all the time, and like I say, I've joked about it, and then... Was it you that said I should do the death row people?
Yeah, it was me.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
That's another thing I forgot to tell you guys earlier. It was in my notes, and I didn't really read my notes. I just told you the story. But when they got to her property to bring her into custody for the identity theft and, you know, do the search warrant or whatever, she joked with these cops that were there to talk to her about where's Robert, about feeding people. She joked about doing she's like, I should get a government grant to, I should get a government grant to see the health benefits of feeding people to pigs. Something along those lines. She's joking with the officers about that when they're there to arrest her for the missing dude that went missing from her place 3 months ago. That's what she's joking. And she says several times in this, oh, I have a weird sense of humor. I was just kidding. I was just kidding about that. I would never feed people to my pigs. People are not pig food. We'll get to that priceless line here towards the end of this episode of part 1. But could you imagine joking about that after you have fed people to your pigs? Insane.
Yeah, I have a weird sense of humor. If you found a leg in the pig pen, I would say totally possible, because I don't go into that pig pen very seldom. I go around to the back of the barn and I feed them and scratch their head and say hello in the morning and in the evening, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, if you found a leg in the pig pen, I would say that's totally possible.
But it's by your house.
Yeah. I would say that's totally possible. But that would also mean that he had came back after he had left, and I don't know what. I don't know what the I don't know what the reason would be for him to go into the pig pen when he came back without seeing me or something.
Right. But like you said, it still wouldn't really explain a leg being right up by your house.
Well, if it was, like I say, if we're by the house, the only reason I could say it would be by the house is if some critter dragged it up there, and
it's a strange place though for a coyote to take something. You know, they would probably not go right next to someone's house. I could see them getting kind of close at times, but
well, no, I've had them right up there because they don't notice it as a house. I mean, you guys have been out there. You can't see it as a house, you know, until you're there. And
do you think Brady or Eric or Stephanie might know something about all this?
They might, but I wouldn't think so. But
I wonder what they're going to say about it.
I have no idea. But if my house is here and the pig pen is over here, and well, that's another thing too, because there's a fence around it, and there's an electric fence around it. So, I got an electric fence on the inside to keep the pigs in, and then there's a wire fence on the outside to keep sheep from getting. I had some sheep, so if it were a raccoon or something, they would not be able to grab onto anything and get over the fence. And then,
right.
But if it were a coyote, it's possible
through the fence
that they, you know, it's just a little fence, so a coyote could.
You think a coyote could jump over a fence like that?
Oh yeah, because it's only 3 feet high. So a coyote could smell something in the pig pen, and if it jumped over the fence, it would go. I have the pond is over here, so a coyote, or that would be the only thing I could think of. Never seen a wolf, but it could have possibly gone over to the water, and you know, you wouldn't see my house.
You don't. I gotta tell you, I don't know. I'm a little bit.
Were there any clothing?
You know, I don't know what all is out there.
Well, the pigs won't eat the clothes.
When I told you that there was a leg by your place, your expression didn't change. It doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal.
It is.
Well, certainly if I...
That's what I'm saying, officer. She had no reaction to finding out there was a human leg next to her house. Also, we know that a coyote did not grab a human leg out of the pig pen where he died there by accident or whatever, right? And drag it to next to her house. My question is, how do you lose a whole leg? How does she lose a whole leg when disposing of this man's body? Steve brings up a good point that there'd be teeth marks from an animal. He was in the pig pen, so there would be teeth marks from an animal. I don't think she, butchered him, so to speak, or cut him up or whatever. I think that the pigs tore him apart. But back to my point. How do you lose a whole leg, Susan? How do you lose a whole leg? Okay. A minute 14 left in this section, and then we're going to move on to the next section that I time-stamped.
Found a leg by my house, I'd be freaked out.
Well, I'm not freaked out, but I'm, very surprised. It's just
the leg goes to a person.
Well, I don't even know.
Obviously dead.
I don't even know that you're telling the truth. So
I am telling the truth.
Well, I don't know that. You just might be making up stories to get me to say something else. Yeah.
Well, I'm not lying to you. I am telling you the truth.
Well, like I said, I don't know that.
I'm just looking for Robert, and I'm worried that leg.
Well, this morning you were looking for a Oregon Trail card, so, I don't know. And the other thing is, like I say, that warrant's no good because it's written up wrong. And if you did find a leg, it's immaterial evidence anyway. But
I'm gonna talk to my partner for a second, okay?
Okay.
So she's back to this. Even if you found a leg, you can't use it in court, haha, because you messed up on the warrant. You put down that I bought this property by myself, and apparently she must have had somebody else that bought it with her. And then I don't know exactly how the logistics worked of that, but that's the part that she's disputing, is that it was not. She wasn't the sole owner of the property. Let's get to the community reaction of all of this, this arrest and all that. And then we'll come back to the interrogation video in a minute. Okay. But I wanted to show you guys the local news on this one because it is something. She was saying how she didn't talk to people or whatever. Well, the people in her community disagree. She was apparently very friendly and a lot of people liked her, which is insane to me, how every time we get one of these people, and then there's always somebody who will go on the news and say, oh, that person who fed people to their pig, they were so nice all the time. I saw them at the store all the time. Such a good neighbor, all of this stuff. There's always some idiot that'll go on the news and say that.
Tonight, total coverage of the investigation and Monica's involvement in the community. We begin with News 10's Caitlin Conrad. She's in the news center with more on one of Monica's victims. Caitlin.
Good evening, Trish, Dave. Jackson County Sheriff's Office is in it for the long haul in this investigation. Right now, detectives say it could be weeks before they leave the property. What we know for sure is that 2 dead bodies were found, the only identified one belonging to Robert Haney. Haney's family reported him missing on the 1st of the year, and sheriff's deputies served a search warrant on Monica's home after they say she used his Oregon Trail card. What we know about Haney, the only identified person, is he was Monica's handyman. Haney, originally from California, was described by his aunt in San Jose as being soft-spoken.
He was a real quiet type person at that time.
Esther Haney says her nephew was married at least twice and had an older brother. When I checked his records, it appears Haney was living in Klamath County at one time, where he has a misdemeanor, several violations, and a domestic abuse charge. Right now, Susan Monica, the woman accused of killing Haney, is in jail facing murder and abuse of a corpse charge. Covering your news, Caitlin Conrad, News 10.
People around Rogue River say Monica was very well known. News 10 spoke with a couple who used to live on her property.
They say it all started with answering an ad about helping out around her home.
So she lived in horrible conditions. Yeah.
In 2007, James Grotsky and his wife Tammy saw an ad near the Wimer store about needing help cutting wood. On the other end of that ad, Susan Monica.
We started working for her and we started cutting wood. Then one day she wanted our help working on metal fences and stuff, on metal gates for people that she used to work for.
Grotsky says he and his wife eventually lived on her property. They set up a small trailer and helped her clean up the property and feed her pigs. And then all of a sudden, Monica told them they had to go.
Just one day she just told us that people were complaining about us living there, and we just moved over here, and it was just weird.
Both of them remember her living conditions as being terrible. While there was running water on the property, both say there was no bathroom on site.
Let's say this is her barn right here, and you go underneath it. There's the pig pen right there, and there was like a little area to live in.
I don't know how anyone can live like that, living in a little room with just a bed and TV and a little stove. She said she got electricity from solar power, which she had batteries all over the place there. They were all in that little room of hers. I mean, she'd sleep next to the pigs.
And they say news of her arrest comes as a shock.
She was a caring lady. She really was. She helped anybody she could. I mean, she's always doing stuff for people. Like he said, go to Gleaners, pick up food for them, and deliver it to all the elderly people that she knew.
Grotzky says he remembers watching Monica butcher a pig at one time. He says someone bought the animal from her for a barbecue. He also says she was well known in the Rogue River area from her business, White Queen Construction, and that she worked for several people in the area.
Meanwhile, the community of Rogue River is in disbelief. News 10's Ashley Carrasco continues our team coverage with reaction from local businesses where Susan Monica was a frequent customer. Ashley.
Dave, everyone I spoke to around the community either personally knows Susan Monica or is acquainted with someone who knows her. People around the neighborhood say Monica had her own welding business. One neighbor says she even helped them tow lumber a few years back. The manager at the local hardware store says Monica has been building a barn and often went in to buy supplies. She says sometimes customers would get intimidated by Monica, but once they got to know her, most people realized she was a kind person.
I think a lot of times it's just the look, and
What, was she a kind person? Was she, though? It doesn't seem like she was a kind person, if you ask me. From what I know so far, doesn't seem kind.
Come in and be dirty from working on her property. She was very big.
Many people in the neighborhood are saddened to hear that Monica has been accused of murder, and they say this was an unfortunate situation. Folks over at the Rogue River Food Pantry say Monica frequently used their service. They give us more insight on their encounter with her tonight on News at 6. Covering your news, Ashley Carrasco, News 10.
Susan Monica would go to several different food pantries in the Rogue Valley to collect food for her pigs. Monica would also frequent White City Metals to purchase steel to make fences. Coming up tonight on News 10 at 6, hear more about her activities and the places she visited in the Rogue Valley.
We are following this investigation closely on our website. For background information and any updates any time of day, you can go to ktvl.com.
So that's what the neighbors thought of Susan Monica. Let's get back to this police interrogation because it gets crazy. I have listed like just a little tidbit about what the clip is about. I have a bunch of timestamps and I have just listed like what it is. And some of the things on here are value of human life. She talks about eugenics is one of them. We found a leg part. So there's a lot to get you. So let's get to this next one about when the police tell her, hey, by the way, you know, if we find bones out there, we're going to be able to see like stab marks and bullet holes. And then we come into her second story. Her first story, he got into the white sedan with at least one person driving. There might have been other people in the car. She doesn't know. Hadn't seen him since. Now we're on to her second story.
What do the pigs do when they eat the bones like that? Do they crunch them all up?
Most of the bones. I know there's a big skull out in the back pen.
Of what?
Of one of the pigs.
Pig skull?
Yes.
So they didn't eat up the skull then?
No.
So if a human ended up in there, then it's not likely they'd eat up the human skull then either, would they?
Well, a pig skull is a lot bigger.
Mm-hmm. Maybe a little thicker.
Yes, I'm sure it's a lot thicker.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible.
Did you know Robert had dentures?
No. I don't.
Did you catch that? It threw her for a loop. The officer says to her, did you know that Robert had dentures? And she's thinking to herself, well, crap. Robert's dentures are probably laying in that pig pen somewhere because the pigs aren't going to eat the dentures.
Know that they would eat dentures, but no, I don't know.
So clearly, to back to the start here, Susan, our intention is to go find the rest of this person.
Yes.
Okay. And we're going to search.
Yes.
Until we do find the rest of this person. And then we're going to compare. You know, we're going to make sure that the parts that we find do belong to the same person, and then we're going to get DNA and we're going to compare and make sure either it's Robert or if it's somebody else.
Well, I mean, if If the leg bone is Robert's, then any other bones that you find out there that are a human would most likely be his. I can't.
Right. And then obviously we're going to analyze whatever we find. If we find any, we'll be looking for evidence of trauma,
Yes.
Either accident, trauma, or even, homicidal trauma,
Yes.
bullet holes, marks from, sharp instruments, anything that, can touch a bone. And then if we find that kind of evidence on him, say there is a bullet hole in him, say there is a mark that is from a sharp instrument, we can analyze that mark and actually see what metal is in there and the particles and compare that to anything that somebody may have in their home or in their possession.
Yes.
And we clearly want to make sure that happens. And we need to know if you have any knowledge of anything that happened to him, that now would probably be the time to tell us.
She's thinking about it.
Sometimes
she knows there's bullet holes.
Happen that we have no control over, or we didn't know was going to happen, or for various reasons, and we hide things out of fear or embarrassment.
If my pigs did eat Robert, would you kill my pigs?
Well, I don't know. That's something we'd have to look at. Not quite sure what the animal laws are regarding something like that. That's something we'd have to look at.
Well, I don't.
She seems more concerned about the lives of her pigs than she does for this human being's leg so far that they've found. To me. It's what it seems like.
Do you know what happened to Robert? Susan, why don't you just tell us what happened? Start at the beginning.
Everything that I told you was the truth up until about a week after Bobby had called me. And I don't know when, but sometime about a week after Bobby had called, I went down and he was like half eaten. He was...
By what?
By the pigs.
Okay.
He was like half eaten by the pigs. It was early in the morning, and I saw what had happened, and his guts were all over the place. he was still alive. I knew he wasn't going to be alive for more than a few more minutes. I went back up to my house and I got a gun and shot him in the head.
You're 22.
And yes, and the rest of it's pretty much the same thing. The only reason a leg might be over by the house or something is if a coyote moved it.
So
I went ahead and I didn't want my pigs to be shot for not doing something that the natural causes. Well, pigs get hungry. If he was out there, I don't know what happened to start with. If he went out and started doing something to them, I can't see that my pigs would go ahead and do something to somebody without cause. They've always been very friendly with me. They still are very friendly with me. And I didn't want to say anything, and because I was afraid you were going to go out and shoot my pigs.
That's not going to happen right now, okay? And we're going to look into that. But tell me, back at the beginning.
Okay, I was not muted. I restarted my microphone because somebody said it was crackling, and I was set on the wrong mic on my computer. But I will still give Xena a treat because I spoke while there was no sound. But technically, that wasn't my fault. What I was saying is this is her second story. We have more stories, but the second story is that this is her third story now? Second. But she came out of the house one morning, and through the goodness of her heart, she saw Robert suffering in the pig pen, and because she's such an awesome lady, decided to put him out of his misery. She walked back up to her house, grabbed her .22, and through an act of kindness, Susan Monica shot Robert in the head. This is what she's going with.
How did you know Robert was there? Did you hear noise? What happened?
I came down in the morning. I say this was maybe it was over a month since I had seen him last, because it was about that time when Bobby had called me to ask me what was going on, and I told him I have no idea. And
so he had been gone.
He had been gone over a month.
Okay.
He had been gone over a month. And in the morning I came down. The dog had been running free at that time, and I came down to feed my animals, and I heard this moaning and stuff.
Did you hear screaming?
No, not really a scream. It was,
just moaning.
Moaning more, yeah. And like I say, his guts were out, but he was still alive.
And how did you know he was alive?
I could see his arm moving.
And was he still moaning?
Yeah, it was moaning a little bit.
So what did you do then?
I yelled at the pigs, and they were doing their thing. They're just, having lunch or breakfast. They were having breakfast on him. And I could see that, there was no way he was going to get to the hospital and live. I didn't think he was going to live more than a few more minutes.
Did he say anything to you?
No, he didn't say anything. He was just moaning.
So,
but
you went back into your house.
I went up and got my rifle and I shot him in the head.
How many times?
I don't know.
More than once?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Are we going to find out that it was more than once?
I don't know. I have no idea.
So you.
Thank you so much for the gifted membership. Ships, 5 of them. I appreciate it. Everybody who received one appreciates it. And Xena definitely appreciates it. We kicked the other dogs out a minute ago when I went off camera because they were causing a little ruckus. So, but we will give Xena some treats. Thank you so much for the gifted memberships, News Now Enemy. Here, Xena. Can you catch? Do you think she'll catch? No, she tried. She missed. Give her another one here in a second. Here goes Xena. Nope, hit her right in the face. Just hit her right in the face. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're sure you did it once?
Yes.
But you're not sure if you did it more than once?
I don't know if I did it more times. I don't know.
So after you shot him, then what happened?
After I shot him.
Did he die immediately?
Yes.
And then what'd you do?
I went and fed my other animals, and I just left him there. Like I said, I knew there was nothing I could do about it, and I was afraid if I called you people.
Obviously, she didn't have to feed the pig. She fed her other animals. The pigs were already eating well, apparently. The pigs had an entire human being to feast on, so why would she feed the pigs at that point?
You were going to come out and shoot my pigs.
And so, as far as you know, he was never moved from that big place.
And if a leg bone did get over there, it's the only way it could have gotten over there was with a coyote or something. I'm not dumb enough to start moving bones around and putting them next to my house.
This is kind of interesting, but he had been gone for a month.
Yes.
Was anybody else living there at the time when he came back?
No.
So it was just you two?
Yes. And I don't even know how he got back there unless it was whoever drove that white car.
You told me he never went into that pig pen before.
To my knowledge.
What reason do you think that
I have no idea why he would go in the pig pen. I have none at all.
Were you angry at him when he came back?
I didn't see him come back. I was angry at him and angry at him and my pigs for what happened.
The pen area that you're talking about, is that going to be right by the
south of the barn?
South of the barn.
South of the barn.
Pretty close to the barn. How close do you think it was to the barn?
Where his body was? 40 feet.
And so what happened, after you fed the rest of your animals and then checked to see, obviously the pigs are going to do what they're going to do. You can't stop them.
Right.
So if they're gonna come back to him, if you originally maybe you were trying to shoo him off, but obviously leaving him there, they're going to eat him, right?
Erica brings up a point that she thinks that Susan here is fake crying. I don't think she's fake crying. I think she's real crying because she's realizing now that her pigs are going to be put down. I mean, she just admitted that they ate a human, so they can't be like processed and sold for bacon anymore. I wouldn't think. Like once you know that, I don't think you would want to eat them. I wouldn't. I don't think. Depends on how hungry I am. Not gonna lie, it depends on how hungry I am. By the way, my apologies to anybody who was planning on having pork chops for dinner tonight. I may have ruined that. Lucky for me, Mr. Zed is smoking some sort of beef right now. It smells wonderful. I can't wait for that after the show. Thank goodness it's a cow and not a pig, though. I don't think if he was doing like a pork butt in the smoker right now, I'm not sure I could do it after watching this. I'm pretty sure I couldn't.
Yes.
So, did you check back to see?
A couple of days later. Well, no, I mean every day. And
did you ever move any part of him out of the pen? I mean, there's got to be some parts that aren't eaten, like you said, they don't eat clothes, right?
A few days later, when most of him was gone, I went in there and I picked up the clothes. I picked up the few parts that were left.
And what was left?
There was the skull and an arm, and I'm not sure. I know there was the skull. If you go back out to my barn, and when you go, let me draw you a little picture.
She's drawn a little map, excuse me, of her property right now, showing where she disposed of his stuff, his, clothes and whatnot. Because the pigs can't eat the clothes, obviously.
If you go in here,
the main opening.
The main opening. This is this is my room.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Okay,
that's my room.
Yeah.
If you go in the barn.
Mm-hmm.
There's a wall that goes all along here. Mm-hmm. There's an opening there.
Is that where you took me and showed me his stuff?
Yes. Opening? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That room there. His stuff is over here.
Okay.
Brady's stuff is over here.
Right.
What's left of him is in a couple of plastic bags right there.
Okay. Did you when he was on the ground and what you said was that he was going to die?
Yeah, all I heard was a little bit of moaning, and I saw one arm move, and like his guts were out.
Were his eyes open? Was he kind of looking around, or?
No, I don't. No, his eyes were not open. All I heard was a little moaning, and one arm moving.
Susan, you talked about how you put down a pig. Did you use the same idea, or do you?
I have no idea.
Where did you shoot him at?
I shot him in the head. I did not look to see where I was shooting him. I just took the rifle out and shot.
Was he laying on his back, his side?
On his back.
So most likely anything would have been like.
I don't know. I didn't look. I saw them eating his guts, laying on his back. And then there was no way for him to be alive more than a couple more minutes. I went up to the house and I got my rifle. I just went like this, I just turned my head and I shot. And then I didn't see any more I didn't see his heart move or any more moaning, and I left.
Did you ever think it was possible that maybe if you got an ambulance there, they might be able to do something for him?
No. I didn't think he was going to, there was no way. I mean, an ambulance takes half an hour to get to him. There was no way he was going to live more than another couple of minutes. And I did pretty much the way I do everything else. I did not like to see an animal suffer. I did not like to see him suffering. So as quickly as I could, I went up to the house. I got my rifle. And I shoot them away for a moment. And I just turned my head and I shot. And that was it.
Is the ammunition that is in that rifle, is that the same?
Yes, it's still there. I didn't do anything to it.
Have you shot it since then, the rifle?
I don't think so. I don't think I have.
Does anybody know what happened?
No, I
Have you
never
ever told anybody?
No.
Does Brady or Eric or Stephanie
No,
know
I
anything?
never told Dad. Like I say, I've got this weird sense of humor. I've talked about this before this ever happened.
That must have been difficult to talk about that, though, like even with me, how you were kind of joking around knowing what happened.
Well, yeah. But, yeah, like I say, I've got this weird sense of humor, I guess. And I had no intention of ever shooting anybody.
So do you think that probably happened then? You said you got the call from Bobby a couple months ago?
Yes.
So was it about that a couple months ago then in that time
It
frame?
was, I think it was about a week after I had talked to Bobby.
Okay.
And I told him, what I had told you earlier. And, like I said, I don't understand, why 2 or 3 weeks before this had happened, that he and they did not call you. I didn't understand that at all. And then, it was about a week after I had talked to him that I came down and found him there. And after I did that, I was thinking about calling you people out and telling you what happened. And I hear stories about, a dog bites somebody and they put the dog down. And I can't understand why they have to do that unless, it's a dog that's been biting other people before or something. And I didn't want my animals destroyed.
Did you put his wallet somewhere? Is it with his stuff?
Okay, we're going to move on to the next clip. So, like we were talking about a second ago, about why she's crying right now and why this next one, the reason I think that she's crying over the pigs possibly dying and not the person dying is because of her thoughts on the value of human life. Let me find that. It is at 3:23. 3:23. No, close enough.
Trying to tell the truth. I do not value human life very much.
There it is.
My feeling is the only thing wrong with this planet is there's people on it. If it weren't for us, all the other animals, you know, dodo birds and whatever else would still be here.
Okay. Well, how did you feel about Robert?
Um,
What kind of person was he?
well, I try to repeat here, I don't know him. You know?
But you knew that he had kids? Did
Yes.
you know anything about him? Does he have brothers or sisters? Are his parents alive?
I don't know.
But you knew he had kids?
I knew he had the one son.
Did he take care of his dog well?
Yes. He fed his dog.
Was he ever mean to his dog?
I don't know. Brady seems to think that the dog was abused. I don't know that it was abused.
When you saw Robert lying on the ground and his guts were hanging out, and your pigs were around him,
yes,
and you saw him and you went over him and you saw that he's moaning, his arm is moving, he's obviously still alive.
Yes.
And you can't seem to shoo your pigs off of him because, you know, if you put food out for pigs, they're just going to keep on eating it.
Yes.
That's all they care about.
Yes.
And you knew that your pigs weren't going to stop, right? You knew that.
Yes.
So you went back to get your rifle.
Yes.
Why did you choose to shoot Robert over pigs? Why didn't you just shoot the pigs and make them stop eating Robert?
It's a very good question, officer.
Either way, it wasn't going to do him any good.
How did you know?
Well,
are you medically trained?
Very little bit. But,
okay. Well, are you trained to deal with that sort of a situation?
No.
Right. So are there people who are trained to deal with that sort of situation?
Yes.
Right. Paramedics, EMTs,
yes.
people like that to come.
Yes.
So my question is again, why would you shoot Robert over shooting the pigs that are attacking him?
Because he was in pain, and I did not think that he was going to live more than a couple more minutes.
But why not stop the pigs from eating him anymore? Why not shoot them instead of a person?
Well, I didn't want to shoot my pigs, and
why? They're just pigs. He's a person.
Well, I could.
I understand they're animals. I love animals. I know what you're saying, but animals.
I guarantee you that if this sweet dog right here, Xena, she's dead asleep, she can't even hear her name, but if she was attacking a human being, I guarantee you she would be shot before the human being. What she's saying is absolutely insane. And the officer brings up a great point about why did you not just shoot your pigs? Like, why not shoot the pigs? You know, but human life needs to be valued above any other life every single time.
This is a person who has kids.
Yes.
He's a person who has a sister and a brother.
I don't know what relatives he had at all.
I'm telling you that's what he has.
Okay.
You knew that he had kids.
I knew that. I knew that he had the one son, and I knew nothing about...
Okay, why shoot a person who you know is a father laying on the ground, moaning in pain, while your pigs are attacking him?
I put him out of his misery. If a cougar had gotten my pigs, and I saw guts all over the place, then I would have shot my pig.
What did Robert mean to you? What was he to you? Why didn't you talk to him and get to know him?
I don't get to know people, period.
Okay. Did you not care for him?
No.
I mean, did you not like him?
He was likable, but
you let him live at your place. I
did not care for him.
I mean, we see a lot in this business how people let someone come out on their property, and then pretty soon, you know, sometimes that person starts taking advantage of the landlord.
Well, he did
in
that.
The situation.
He did do that.
We know that. He caused you problems with your neighbors. We know that for a fact. I have police reports right here of him causing problems with your neighbors.
I'm happy about that. In fact, the other day when we went down and started the fire, I was honking my horn and yelling and screaming for her to come back out of her property, so I could tell the friggin' bitch to mind her own goddamn business.
Well, she is minding her own business if she's just sitting there and then Robert starts yelling.
She came. I went into town. I went over to.
Okay, we're going to cut you off right there. Susan really hated her neighbor, some lady named Karen, ironically. This was pre-Karen meaning what it means today in 2024. This was back in 2014. But she had this dispute about the property lines, I guess. The way the property was set up, and I might even be able to show you guys. And not that this part really matters, but yeah, I can show you. The way the property was set up, if you look on this Zillow listing, is there were these long strips of land that went to the road. And you can see this one that's on the bottom goes to Susan Monica's property. And part of this driveway is shared with another neighbor that's, up here. So she hated this woman. They got into it all the time. Like I said at the beginning of the show, this property is for sale right now, 20 acres for $399,000. Check it out if you want to live on this ex-pig farm. Let's go on to the next clip. So that's how she values human life. She does not care. She cares about the animals more, which I understand. I care about animals too. I'm with the cop. You guys know I'm an animal lover. I obviously have a herd of dogs at my house right now. She does not care about humans at all. And she gets into, like I said, this was an all-day conversation that she had with these officers. She ends up talking about eugenics at one point, which is kind of crazy. And it's a short clip. It's only a couple of minutes long, but she gets into it a couple of times. I just clipped one of them, but let's see, 3:59. Here we go.
It's weird. I continually grant that. It's weird. But there are a number of diseases, and I know that I could never get anybody to do it, but sickle cell anemia, okay? There's a lot of people with sickle cell anemia, okay? If you take everybody with sickle cell anemia and say you cannot reproduce, in one generation you have ended sickle cell anemia.
True.
Okay?
There's a word for that, Susan. It's called eugenics. We tried that at one point in this world's history. There's a name for the people who did that. They were the Nazis. So I don't even think she realizes that that's what she's describing, but that is exactly what this woman is describing.
It's, very simple to me. That's my logical brain. I realize that, you can't do that, but that's a simple solution to a very.
She says simple solution. Some people might say final solution. I'm not sure, but it's kind of crazy that she's bringing this up in a police interview where they're talking about a man that she murdered. It is nuts.
Bad disease. You can't get sickle cell anemia unless you have two people with to the best of my knowledge. You can't get sickle cell anemia unless your mother and father both have it.
Right.
So
They just don't have kids and give that to their kid.
Or that, you know, they may not have it, but
right.
It's in their gene.
Right.
Okay.
And that would stop that.
That would stop it. Boom. Right there. And there's several other.
Not all diseases, though. I mean, you can you get the drug users that.
Well, no.
You know what I mean? They can get hepatitis from each other.
Yes.
And things like that. But I see your point
But
on the ones that you could.
I do not see any point to you going out and busting people with drugs. If they want to shoot themselves up and kill themselves, let them do it. You know.
Another form of eugenics. Let the drug addicts kill themselves. Perfect, Susan. Perfect.
Your time would be best served. Unfortunately, you know, looking for people like me, and stopping domestic violence and whatever.
Yeah, I see your point, but what about the drug user who he may go out, he may have drugs on him, but what if he has stolen property on him? Because a lot of drug crimes are related to theft, so we could solve a lot of theft crimes by catching the person on drugs.
But if the drugs are legal, you know.
Oh, like marijuana, you mean?
All of them. I mean, Colorado just passed a law and said you can go in and buy a little bit, whatever it is, once a week or once a month. I don't know how it was, but Colorado just passed a law saying you can go in and buy marijuana.
Yeah.
And and instead of having.
Somebody let me know in the chat. It just dawned on me that she may have gotten her wish. Is Oregon? Was it Portland or Seattle where they passed laws recently, like within the last year, 2 years, something like that, where they decriminalized all drugs, where you could just use heroin on the street now? Is that in Oregon? Is that where that is? I don't know, because I know it's in the Pacific Northwest somewhere they did that, and it would be kind of ironic if it was Oregon and she called it back in 2014. Let's move on to the next clip, which I have labeled "How the Pigs Ate Robert," which is at 4:24:12.
I don't remember. I may have. I don't really remember.
What are some of the other options that you might have thought about at the time, or did you just know right away I need to go get my gun?
That was the only thing I could think of, was put him out of his misery.
But you obviously, when you first came up, you wanted to get the pigs off
Yes.
Get him to stop.
Yes.
I wonder if food would have worked. Do you think food would have worked if you had a bucket of the stuff? They wouldn't have gone for that.
No.
Would they prefer to eat their normal food over something that'd be foreign to them? You know what I mean?
I understand what you mean, but I don't think they would have done it.
Okay.
If analogy. If you're sitting at a table eating a steak, and I'm outside saying, "Come outside and eat this hamburger," what are you going to do?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I mean,
You made a comment to me when I first talked to you that pigs would probably eat a person, but it's not good for them.
Yes.
Did your pigs end up getting sick afterwards?
No, I don't think they did.
Well, why would you say that it's not good for them?
I've simply heard that before.
Oh, okay. That if a pig eats a person, it's not good for them?
Well, not a person, but I generally do not feed meat to my pigs. I do give them an occasional bone or something. And when when I slaughter my pigs, I generally do give them the guts to eat.
Let's get rid of it.
Yeah, and they do eat.
Why do you think the pigs would have been eating him there? I mean, if he was clothed, you know, and I mean, why his stomach?
I don't know.
I mean, if a person was to go into a pen and they fell down, what would, I mean, I'm trying to wrap my mind around it, you know what I mean, of how, because if I went into a pen and a pig started attacking me, I guarantee you I'd get out. Somehow I might be bit and stuff, you know, if it was an angry pig, but I would get out
But
somehow.
like I say, my pigs are not mean.
Right.
I have no idea why he would be there, and furthermore, I have no idea why they would go after him or anybody. You know, the only sow right now is the one that's by herself in here. If you go in there, she has the one baby, and she will turn on you.
Yeah, she has a reason.
She has a reason. The other pigs, I have them come over to the back of the barn and I feed them, and I scratch the back of their head and they like it and they're fine. I've never had, you know, I have never had one of my animals legitimately attack me, other than you know, them being afraid of their offspring. Never.
I want to ask you a couple more questions, and I want to probably go grab you some water or something. Are you thirsty? You want another soda? I can get you a soda if you want another one.
Not right now. I've still only eaten one bite of your sandwich. Not hungry.
The polygraph examiner is going to get here any minute.
Okay.
And I know that can sometimes make people nervous, or naturally, you know, you have some sort of natural nervousness about it. But they're going to be starting the property as soon as they can.
The property?
Your property.
Oh, yes.
Going to start looking and excavating, whatever. I don't take part in that really, but they're going to basically look at every square inch pretty much. I mean, they have to, you know, you can look for the smallest piece of bone.
Yeah, well, I do have bones all over the place.
Well, they're going to have to determine whether they're human or not, which they can. But my question is,
do you want another drawing of where bones are, or do you just want to spend a week and a half looking?
Well, no, I can have you draw me another picture. But let me just ask you
My
this.
spatial geometry is very good.
Okay. I just want to be sure that we're both on the same page.
Yes.
I feel like you're telling us a lot of the truth. My gut feeling is that you're not talking about something that happened with you and Robert, like maybe you guys got in an argument or something.
No.
Because that usually happens. You know, something triggers something.
No.
And I also want to be sure that
I was not happy with him making a mess.
Yeah.
But
did you ever tell him?
Yes, but I mean,
what did he say?
Well, he said he was trying to, you know, scrap the stuff out and go get some money with it.
Mm-hmm.
Which
did he ever do it?
Some of it. You know, well, I mean, those tires, for one thing, he took the rims and sold the rims.
Yeah, and left a mess, but
yes.
got rid of some of it, not all of it.
Yeah.
But did you ever get on him and say, hey, you've got to clean this up? You know, that enough is
No,
enough.
No. I just kind of, let him do his thing, and I figured eventually he would, clean most of it up, if not all. The first couple days, a month ago, when Stephanie and Brady and Eric showed up, we cleaned out his room, and
Okay, we're going to move on to the next one. Keep in mind, I have all 3 interrogation videos. The second one is all the polygraph examiner comes in, which I was going to show you guys some of that. It's very slow. It's the whole, you probably watched in the Chris Watts case where they set up the polygraph and they tell her how it's going to go and then they hook her up to it. She ends up doing weird breathing patterns both times they try the polygraph, but so they can't get a clear reading. And then she goes into the whole eugenics thing with the polygraph examiner. Again, like a lot of the stuff she already talked about, she goes into again with this new guy who happens to be there. So we're going to skip right to this is now after the polygraph exam. And this next clip is labeled "People Are Not Pig Food." It's short, and then I have another short one, and then we'll be done for the day. So we're almost done for today. But keep in mind, this is a 2-parter, so we were going to get into the same story again next week. We haven't talked about the second person yet, guys. We got to talk about the second guy. We've only talked about Robert so far.
I talked to a lot of people.
Yes.
I talked to Stephanie. I talked to Eric.
Yes.
I talked to Brady. We talked to Brady some more today.
Yes.
And just listening to you talk throughout the day, your pigs, they sound like mild-mannered pigs.
They are.
They sound like pigs that wouldn't do anything to anybody.
They will not.
Stephanie said your pigs are sweet, that they're friendly, that
they are.
She feeds them, or I think she said she did the vaccinations or something like that.
Some time ago, she helped castrate a couple of little babies.
All right. Well, she's not afraid to be around them.
No, and I am not either. I had a pig that weighed 940 pounds. Yeah. It would barely fit through this door. It was this tall.
Yeah.
Okay. I was not afraid of it at all. Yeah. It could very easily, if it had wanted to, kill me and eat me probably within, a day. He could probably eat me by himself. Pigs are like dogs. If you put a bunch of food out for a dog, it will eat all the food. If you put a bunch of food out for a cat, when the cat is full, it quits.
Yeah.
If you put out a bunch of food for a pig, it will eat it until it can't eat anymore. One day, the 940-pound pig that I told you about, it drank 4 gallons of milk as fast as I could pour it out of the jug with losing very little of it. It just, it drank 4 gallons of milk.
Yeah, they don't know. They're pigs.
Yes.
They just, it's instinct, right?
Yes.
But we as people know that food for pigs is not a person.
Right. And
you know that.
Right. I know that.
Does that need to be said out loud? People, food for pigs is not people, the officer says, with a straight face to this woman. With a straight face. We know that, right? You know that, Susan, that food for pigs is not people. You know that.
But you know that pigs will eat anything if you give them the opportunity.
Opportunity, yes.
Right.
And
so how did Robert give them an opportunity for him to be in there?
I do not know. I do not know.
In all the time that Robert had been there, did he ever feed the pigs?
To my knowledge, no.
Did he ever go out and in the pen that you
To my knowledge, no.
So you can see how when we listen to what you're saying,
I know
it
doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me.
And so when you come out and you see your pigs eating Robert, and he's still alive.
Yes.
For us to hear that, it's not even possible. No one here is outside this office, people out there, no one would believe that. If you take anybody and you put them in a pig pen, even if they've been around pigs, they're going to know that if I start getting attacked by a pig or something, I'm going to try to get out of here.
Yes.
I'm not going to lay down on the ground and let pigs just eat my stomach.
Right.
Until I can't move and then have someone come shoot me in the head. You remember earlier when we got to this point where...
It does not make sense to me.
Remember earlier when we got to this point where...
Hang on, let me finish. I can see why it does not make any sense to you.
I know that. So let me finish what I have to say.
It happened.
Let me finish what I have to say. So you earlier, for whatever reason, you decided at some point in time today when we were talking to you, I have to tell the truth.
Yes.
It took a while to get there.
Yes.
It did.
Yes.
That's okay. Because all of us face that sometimes. You know, when we're kids, sometimes it takes kids to get around to that point. And eventually they'll say, well, yeah, you know, Mom, I did a little bit, you know. And that's kind of what you're doing here. It's like the little kid that comes to their parent and the parent says, well, did you do this? No, I didn't hit my sister because they're worried about the consequences. They're worried about the way they're going to be labeled and looked at.
Yes.
But then if a parent says, well, I know you don't want to get in trouble, but did you maybe just do it a little bit? And the kid says, yeah, maybe just a little bit. And then they start realizing that they're doing the right thing.
Yes.
That's where you're at. And I'm not saying you're a little kid. I'm saying that you're saying, yeah, I did have something to do with Robert's death. I did.
But see,
and so we're not getting the whole picture of what happened. And this is your opportunity. This is for you.
I realize that, and I do realize it's for me. But I cannot justify to myself telling you that he attacked me and I shot him.
I understand.
So she's saying she doesn't want to lie. I'm telling you the truth. That's what happened. I cannot tell you that he attacked me and then I killed him because that's not what happened. She's such an honest person, guys. Such an honest person. And she gets so honest when she finds out that they are going to tear up her entire property looking for bodies, that she ends up admitting to something else.
I don't. There is something else that I don't want to say that's just as bad.
All you can do is tell me.
But
I'm here to listen.
But it doesn't make sense. That's the thing.
Okay. I'm just going to listen. You tell me.
She's working up to it.
Oh, God, give me another piece of paper.
This guy's ready with the paper. She's going to draw another map, guys.
This doesn't make any sense. Oh, God, this doesn't make any sense. Right there, about 3 feet down, there's part of another body.
Okay.
His name is Steve. Steve. I can't remember. It's Italian Steve.
Okay. How old is he?
His name was Steve Delacino. And that's where we're going to end it today, because next week we're going to come back and talk about Steve Delacino and get into the trial. Yes, the trial where, for part of it, at least part of it, she represented herself, which is always a good time when somebody decides to represent herself. Honestly, I'm kind of sad that Sarah Boone ended up getting a lawyer in the end. I really thought she was going to represent herself coming up here tomorrow. But can you imagine? Just imagine what we just watched, that last little bit. Murdering somebody and not even remembering their name. It was Steve something, Steve something. Yes, his name was Steve Delacino, and he was a transient just like Robert was, and he went to live at her property as well. So, coming up tomorrow night, we have a Booze and Body Cams episode for you. I know we didn't have one last week. Kafar's getting his stuff in order because he's moving, and I was feeling a little bit under the weather, so we didn't do one last week. So we're getting to one early this coming up week, which is going to be tomorrow, I believe at 8 o'clock tomorrow. We usually do it at 8, 8 to 10. And then next weekend, Sunday, 4:30 Eastern, we're going to come back and talk about Steve. I really appreciate each and every one of you being here today. I appreciate the super chats and the new members. Don't forget, once a month, we do a game night for members. We've already had the one for October, so we'll probably have one the first week or so of November's next. I almost said September, but that's going backwards. November. We'll have one probably the first week of November, another members game night. And even if you're not a member, feel free to come and hang out in the chat for that. It's always a lot of fun. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Please click the like button on your way out. If you would like merchandise, go to ktzed.com. That's KTZED.com. And we will see you guys next time.